Hello and welcome back. It is Bible story time. Bible story time. So today we are back in the Lion Storyteller Bible. Now who can tell me what happened last time? So yesterday. No one asked because no one's here. If you remember, we've done the start of the world. So we've seen God create the world from nothing. We've then seen how Adam and Eve actually said yes to something that they weren't meant to do. We talked about how sometimes that can be us, sometimes we can make the wrong decisions. Now we're going to move on from that and look at a special promise. Now who can remember what this special promise is to? That's it, it's to Noah. And we know that the special promise is this beautiful rainbow that we see here. So let's read this story then, shall we? God was very sad. Very sad. Everywhere he looked, he saw people making bad choices. Hating each other, hurting each other, making a mess of his beautiful world. I need to start all over again, God decided. I need to make my world clean. And that's when he talked to Noah. Noah was not like the rest. He was a good man, and God knew it. So God told him to build a boat big enough to hold Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, their wives, a pair of every animal in the world, and food enough to feed all of them for a very long time. Noah's family was surprised when he told them what he was going to do. Noah's neighbours thought it was strange of him to build a boat so far from the sea. And it wasn't easy chasing and catching and cleaning up after all of those animals. But Noah was a good man. He did what God told him, even when it was hard. At last, when they were all tucked safely away in the boat, God shut the door, and then it started to rain. It rained for 40 days. It rained for 40 nights. It rained harder than Noah had ever seen it rain before. It rained so hard the streams and the rivers and even the seas burst their banks and began to flood. Soon every sandy beach, every rocky path, every patch of muddy earth had disappeared beneath the water, and the boat began to float. It floated above the houses, it floated above the trees, it floated above the hills, and then above the mountains too. It floated for days and weeks and months, and then it stopped, stuck at the top of a tall mountain. Noah opened a window to look out. The water was going down, but the world was far from dry. So he sent out a dove, and when the dove did not come back, Noah knew that it had found a dry place to build its nest. "Come out," God called finally. "Come out of the boat. The world is dry, the world is clean, and now you and your family and all the animals must have children and fill it full of life again." "Hooray!" Noah celebrated, and he thanked God for saving him. God was happy too, so he painted the world's first rainbow in the sky to celebrate his fresh, clean world and to promise that he would never send a flood like that again. So I remember when I was younger that I found this story really hard. The God that we know now is a really loving and caring God. So why would he want to flood what he had made? Well, it goes back to Adam and Eve. When we say that the world back then was horrible, we don't just mean the nastiness that we see now. We mean that and 10 times more. The world was a horrible, horrible place after Adam and Eve had made that one bad decision. And actually, there was no going back from that. There wasn't really any belief in God anymore. He'd kind of been forgotten in all of that. People had got too interested in doing bad things. So God saw that the only way was to start again, which sounds so horrible. And actually, I really struggled with it when I was growing up. But we learn that in order for us to have the world that we have now and to see the God that we see now, it had to start again. There was no way that the world could come back from where it had been. And now we see a God that loves us and cares for us, and he always did then. But it was just so sad that all these things were going on which wasn't the world that he had created. It wasn't what he had wanted in humankind. But when he then flooded and saved Noah, who was a godly man, the reason that he saved Noah and his family was because Noah really, really believed in God. Noah trusted God and was there with God and listened to God. Now he sends this rainbow, the first ever rainbow that we see, to say that actually I'm not going to do that again. This is a fresh slate. This is me. And we move on from now. And actually, we see rainbows now. We see rainbows when it's raining, but also sunny. And I've heard stories of people seeing rainbows during things. So for me, it was around my grandma's funeral, and we were obviously all really sad. And my grandma absolutely loved rainbows. And as we were walking away from where we just said our goodbyes, a rainbow came up. And you might just think that that's a coincidence, but for us, we really felt that it was God showing us that Grandma was in heaven and all was all right up there. So God still sends these promises and these signs now because he loves each and every one of us. He wants us to know that he is there, that when he says things will happen, they will happen. But we also have to follow God. We have to listen to God. We can't just think that these promises and signs are going to happen if we're not there listening and trusting in what he's saying as well. So let's pray. Dear God, we're sorry for the times that we do make mistakes and we do things that maybe don't honour you, Lord. Help us to learn the right decisions and to listen to you. In your mighty name, amen. So I hope that helps. And if you have any questions, then please don't hesitate to comment on this thing. See you later. Bye.